Hi there, Philip Mandel, Beaverton, Oregon. I'm going to try a new way of recording, doing it on the laptop. And I know there's a bright shade behind me because it's actually sunny today in Oregon in March. How about that? Let's see. Single-sided deaf. I got a cochlear implant right over here on the left. February 2nd, and then was activated February 16th. Today is March 11th, so roughly 3 weeks since activation. And I just had my third, mapping Friday, right? Today's Sunday. Yeah, 2 days ago. I like this mapping. It's a lot, each time I get mapped, it gets a little louder, and so there's more for my brain to work with, as far as I can tell. And anyway, there's not a lot that's different in terms of intelligibility or music. I still can't tell pitches well and so on, but it's only 3 weeks. Maybe after a total of 3 months, things will be a lot better, but right now it's still early. So I do have some fun news. First of all, I told you before about my concert that I gave last week, February 28th, here in Portland. And so when I post this video on Facebook, I'll include a link to that in case you want to take a peek. I hope you enjoy it. So yesterday we had a warm weather day here in Portland. Not quite as warm as today. But so March 10th, I went out for a bicycle ride. In preparation for that, I had to get a new helmet because my old helmet fit pretty snug. And so when I tried it on with the regular, what's this thing called? Nucleus, this one. Here, I'll take off the Kenzo. I'll put this one on. So with a helmet that fits snugly, it was pressing on the coil, and that would be very uncomfortable before too long. And I tried digging out some of the foam, which we're not supposed to do, but I wanted to see if I could make that work. And there's too many things in the way in the helmet. There's a plastic frame and stuff, and it's just, I wasn't getting there. So I posted on Facebook, maybe in one of the groups you're in, and people were kind enough to respond and said, go try on a million helmets, don't cut the foam. So I did. I went and tried on a bunch of helmets at Bike Gallery here in Beaverton, Oregon. Found one that I liked. Of course, it was $310, and I said, wait a minute, let's find another one I like. And I ended up with one for, I think, $130. Which isn't too bad for a helmet, and it's just shaped nicely so that there's a little bit of gap, like I can put the helmet on and make it just snug enough. I wish I could make it more snug, because if I go down, I don't want it to, it's supposed to be snug to do its job, but I think I can get it snug enough and still have sort of space between the helmet and the coil. It doesn't take much, just a tiny bit, that if I can just sort of rotate the helmet and it's not tugging on the coil, then that seems to be okay. So I went out for a 20-mile bike ride and had no issues, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, so about, I don't know, it was an hour and a half. That's a short bike ride for me, 20 miles, but it's the first of the season, really. So I start small. Otherwise, if I push it, then my body reminds me that I'm over 60. And that I shouldn't be doing things like that. So that was fun. I'm glad I got to do a bike ride with the implant. I still don't think I'm locating sound. For example, I was riding down a road in the breakdown lane and having a good old time. Wasn't necessarily paying attention to what's behind me. I wear a mirror here, so if I want to or need to, I can see what's going on, who's coming behind me. But I had plenty of room, so I was just head down, enjoying myself, and all of a sudden I heard a big rumble. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know where it was. And this is with the implant on, and so my right ear is normal. I just have a little hearing aid on this side, but even without it, I feel fine. I hear fine on that side. So after 2 or 3 seconds, I figured out what happened. That a car was coming past me on my left, and there's a rumble strip in the road where the car goes over it. It makes a bunch of noise, not to scare the cyclist, but to wake up the motorist, because there's a curve coming and you got to slow down. So, so that was weird. I mean, it was a loud noise. I was shocked, and I didn't know where it was coming from. So I say all that to say I don't have sound localization yet. And again, it's only 3 weeks. This is not a surprise. But I hope that, yeah. So I'm going to have to pay more attention to my mirror and what's coming behind me, because I obviously can't count on my hearing yet to locate stuff. Then what else did I do? So then last night I went to a gathering for some people in a hotel room for someone who had recently passed away, and kind of a memorial small gathering. The real gathering is tonight. So just a few of us, but still it was very loud. People were chattering away. I know it sounds weird for a memorial type thing, people to be chattering, but it's appropriate. If you knew this guy, you'd know that laughter is what it's all about. So so we're all going to miss him, but the point is, it was so loud. As soon as I walked in, one of the first people I met was a friend of his who happens to have a very loud voice, a young lady, and it felt like screeching in my head, because I'm still single-sided deaf, which means everything goes in one ear still, even though the implant makes noise out of sound. But basically my brain still thinks I'm single-sided, which means anything loud, it's easy to get overwhelmed. Those of you with SSD know what I mean. So anyway, I tolerated that environment as long as I could, and then I said, I gotta go, and I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm going to be tonight at a different setting. It's in a big, much bigger area, and I think it's going to be easier to tolerate. So yeah. So then today I went to spin class at the gym. So I was indoors on a stationary bike, and there's music playing. This is not blaring music like you get at a lot of gyms. At this particular class that I go to, you can talk over it. So nonetheless, people were talking. There was about 6 or 8 of us, and then the instructor. And I still, because of having only one really working ear, I couldn't participate in much in the conversation, could barely hear anybody unless they were on my right. So anyway, all that's to say, it's just 3 weeks. It's early, and so progress is slow, but that's because brains are slow to adapt to new gizmos like this. So anyway, I'm happy with where things are. As far as I can tell, things are normal. In fact, the audiologist said I'm ahead of where a lot of people are. That's nice to hear. Other fun news is I did have a chance to speak with one of the engineers at Cochlear. This is a Cochlear Implant, in case I didn't mention that. Cochlear brand, Cochlear Americas. And I had a chance to talk with one of the engineers at Cochlear, I think, and they're in the Midwest somewhere. And I'm a retired engineer, so it's fun for me to talk nerd to nerd about stuff. And he assured me that this technology in the Nucleus 7 and in the Nucleus 6 and in this, which is the off-the-ear Canso, are all, oops, it went off because it was off my head too long, are all the same basic technology. They're just wrapped differently, and the Nucleus 7 does made for iPhone stuff, which is really cool. But he explained why the Canso, sounds so much different to me than the Nucleus. And it really has to do with microphone placement. If you look at this little thing, you know, the microphones are right there on the top. So when it's on your ear, whoops, that way, it's fairly close to the mouth, and the microphones are right next to the skull. So any sound from any external sound, part of how our ear works is sound reflects off our bones and gets into our cochlea somehow. So the microphone right next to the skull means sound coming from the outside just goes into the mic, and some of it bounces off the head and into the mic. So it's all right. You know, there's a lot of sound available to the microphones. With the Canso, the microphones face out. There's a little right there and there, those little holes, and they face that away. So my voice is farther from that, and there's nothing reflecting off the skull into the mics, because the mics are facing that way, not right here next to the skull. So even though the device is the same electrically, the microphone placement makes a big difference. I found that fascinating. You may or may not find it equally fascinating, but to me that's pretty fun. I think that's all I got. So I'll try to catch up with you in a week again. And again, I will post a link to the concert that I played in, and had a few other friends play with me. It was a lot of fun, so I hope you'll check it out and let me know what you think. Okay, Philip Mandel, Beaverton, Oregon. This was a long video. Sorry. We'll see you next time.